There are few relationships within the royal family that elicit more conjecture and gossip than that of Princess Anne and Camilla Parker Bowles.
The princess, who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye, died in a speeding car in Paris, apparently trying to evade pursuing photographers. Her body was brought home today.
What if everything we were told about Princess Diana's death wasn't the whole truth? What if someone inside the palace, someone who actually lived through those silent years, finally broke the royal code? For decades, whispers have circled the walls of Buckingham Palace, pointing fingers, raising questions, and leaving millions wondering who really knew what happened that tragic night in Paris. And now, Princess Anne has spoken, and her words have left the royal circle shaken, especially Queen Camilla. It's not gossip this time. It's revelation straight from the one royal who has never feared truth or tradition. Anne's calm but piercing words have reopened an old wound the monarchy hoped had healed. Could this be the moment when the palace's carefully built silence finally cracks? Stay with us, because what Princess Anne just revealed about Diana's death is something Camilla can no longer deny. The silent sister. Long before the world came to know her as the Princess Royal,
Anne, Princess Royal, has been known to some as her royal rudeness, but she's also been called the monarchy's trustiest anchor over the years. Here's how King Charles's only sister has made herself invaluable and unforgettable.
Anne was already a mystery within the palace walls, a woman of discipline, resilience, and quiet fire. Unlike her brothers, she never sought headlines or applause. While others found comfort in royal glamour, Anne found purpose in duty. She woke before dawn, worked long after public events ended, and carried the royal name with a kind of unshakable dignity. Those who truly knew her said Anne's silence was never emptiness, it was power, the kind that came from seeing everything yet saying nothing. When Diana entered the royal circle, bringing light and compassion that outshined even tradition, Anne didn't flinch. She wasn't intimidated nor envious. She saw in Diana a reflection of her own younger self, spirited, misunderstood, and trying to survive in a palace where emotions were often seen as weakness. Behind those polite smiles at royal gatherings, Anne noticed the cracks forming the way Diana's eyes carried both love and loneliness. The walls of the palace may have been grand, but to Anne, they were cages for hearts too soft to play the royal game. Then came that tragic night in 1997, when the news of Diana's death echoed through every hall of Balmoral and beyond.
The world weeps at the death of Princess Diana. On every continent today, mourners paying tribute. Then, more shocking news. The driver of her car was under the influence of alcohol. A tragic death for a shy girl.
The family froze, but Anne, as always, remained composed. She didn't seek the cameras or the world's sympathy. Instead, she stood as a silent pillar for William and Harry, ensuring that even when the monarchy seemed cold to the world, someone within it still carried genuine care. Yet, behind her calm expression, something broke. Her silence deepened, her stride slowed. Those who worked closest to her noticed that Anne was never quite the same again. Her eyes told stories that words never could. Years later, when journalists dared to ask what she truly thought of her late sister-in-law, Anne's answer was short but haunting. Some things were never as they appeared. That single sentence cut deeper than any royal statement ever had. It was as if she had opened a window into truths carefully buried beneath decades of royal image and control. Some said it was a quiet challenge to the official narrative. Others believed it was a message aimed directly at Camilla, a reminder that certain ghosts never rest. Whatever Anne meant, one thing became clear. The silent sister had finally spoken, and her words carried the kind of weight that could shake even the firmest walls of the crown. Diana's final days, revisited. To understand the depth of Anne's words, one must journey back to those haunting final months of Diana's life, months that shimmered with both triumph and tragedy. The world saw a woman finally reclaiming her voice, a free spirit unshackled from royal formality. After her divorce from Charles,
history being made.
It is announced from Buckingham Palace that with regret, the Prince and Princess of Wales have decided to separate. Their Royal Highnesses have no plans to divorce, and their constitutional positions are unaffected.
Diana appeared radiant, lighter, almost reborn. The press captured her every smile, every hand she held, every moment of compassion she shared with those in need. Yet behind the dazzling photos and camera flashes, there lingered an invisible tension, a sense that something dangerous brewed beneath the surface. Inside the palace, whispers grew louder. Diana's newfound independence, her global popularity, and her willingness to challenge the traditional royal narrative had created waves that few in the institution could control. Some saw her as a risk, others as a revelation. To the people, she was the people's princess.
It's what Princess Diana would have done. The people's princess, a royal with a common touch.
But to those who guarded the monarchy's image, she was a wild card, too powerful, too beloved, too unpredictable. Her decision to speak candidly about her struggles, her loneliness, and the cracks within royal life shook the foundation of the establishment. And though the world admired her bravery, those within the palace walls saw it as rebellion. Amid all this, Princess Anne remained quietly observant. She wasn't one for gossip or emotion, but she understood the toll that royal life took on the soul. She had endured it herself, the rigid expectations, the isolation behind grandeur, the quiet sacrifice of self. Anne didn't judge Diana's choices. She recognized them. She saw a woman fighting for air in a system that prized perfection over authenticity. And deep down, Anne likely knew how lonely such a fight could be. When the news broke from Paris on that devastating night in August 1997,
the moment that Diana, Princess of Wales, has in fact been killed in that car accident in Paris just a few hours ago, there had been extreme concern.
The world went still. Millions wept openly. The monarchy faced one of its darkest hours, and every heart seemed to break in unison. Anne, however, carried her grief differently. Those who saw her at the funeral remember her expression steady, restrained, yet heavy with unspoken sorrow. Her eyes, fixed on Diana's coffin, reflected something deeper than loss. It was as if she was mourning not only Diana's death, but the truth that had died with her, the unspoken stories, the unanswered questions, and the quiet pain that no official statement could ever heal. The weight of truth. Years after Diana's death, when the public's grief had cooled into curiosity and documentaries began digging into every angle of that fateful night, Princess Anne's silence became almost symbolic. She had never been one to chase attention or defend the royal narrative publicly, but then, slowly, pieces of her thoughts began to emerge in interviews and royal reflections. During one documentary, her calm yet piercing words caught everyone off guard. Truth has many faces in a family like ours. It wasn't said with anger or emotion, it was said with the kind of quiet wisdom that only comes from years of watching everything unfold behind closed doors. The world paused at that line. What did she mean? Some took it as a simple philosophical comment. Others, however, felt it was Anne's gentle way of acknowledging that within the royal family, the truth isn't always shared. It's managed. Each person carries their own version, shaped by loyalty, duty, and sometimes fear. And when it comes to Diana's story, those versions have never truly aligned. For some, she was a victim of a merciless system. For others, a woman who broke too many royal rules. But Anne's choice of words hinted at something deeper, that no single narrative could ever contain the full reality of what happened. Camilla, now Queen Consort,
once known as the other woman, Camilla is now the Queen. Kind of. The new king's darling wife has become the Queen Consort.
I know she will bring to the demands of her new role
reportedly felt the sting of that remark more than anyone. Her connection to the tragedy had always made her a target of public resentment. Even years later, people could not separate her name from Diana's. So when Anne spoke of truth and many faces, some saw it as an indirect reflection on Camilla's place in the royal timeline, not an accusation, but a reminder that every action, every silence, and every secret contributed to the tragedy's legacy. What made Anne's words so haunting was her delivery. She didn't defend anyone, nor did she condemn. She simply observed. History is never written by one person. She later added a sentence that echoed through royal watchers' minds. Because if history isn't written by one person, then whose story had the public been told all these years? That was the quiet question Anne left behind, one that lingered longer than any official report. Her calm honesty reminded people that the monarchy's version of Diana's death, though steeped in sorrow and protocol, may not have captured the whole emotional truth of what led there. Anne didn't need to shout to be heard. Her restraint was her strength. In her stillness, she made people question everything. She wasn't hinting at conspiracy or blame. Rather, she was acknowledging something far more unsettling, that silence itself can shape truth. And in a family built on silence, that might be the heaviest truth of all. Camilla's unspoken guilt. For Camilla, Anne's quiet reflection felt like a mirror she could no longer turn away from. For decades, she had lived beneath the shadow of Diana's memory, a ghost that refused to rest. From the moment her relationship with Charles became public, the world had painted her as the other woman.
Different terms have been used to describe her. The other woman, a homewrecker, someone who destroyed a modern fairy tale, someone who lived in Princess Diana's shadow.
The intruder, the villain in a fairy tale gone wrong. No matter how much time passed or how gracefully she carried herself, that label clung to her like a scar that wouldn't fade. Even after marrying Charles and eventually becoming queen consort, the whispers never truly stopped. And when Anne, the one royal known for her honesty and restraint, spoke of truth and unspoken faces, the world didn't need to ask who she meant. Everyone already knew. Behind palace walls, sources claimed that Anne's words sent a ripple through the household. Camilla's outward composure remained intact. She smiled through engagements, attended ceremonies, and stood beside the king with practiced grace. But privately, those closest to her noticed a shift. Her laughter grew quieter, her presence more reserved. She reportedly avoided conversations that even hinted at the past. It wasn't fear of exposure, it was something far more personal, the weight of conscience. Anne's statement had reopened an old, unhealed wound. Because in a family where silence often replaces truth, guilt doesn't vanish, it simply changes form. For Camilla, that guilt wasn't about blame or wrongdoing in a legal sense. It was emotional, the kind that lingers in the quiet moments when no cameras are watching. It was the realization that she had lived through and benefited from a story built on another woman's heartbreak. The public had moved on, but memory inside the palace never really fades. Those close to both women described an unspoken understanding between Anne and Camilla, a relationship built on respect, yet stretched thin by honesty. Anne, known for her sharp candor, didn't believe in pretending. And Camilla, for all her efforts to rebuild her image, knew that Anne's words came from a place of truth. When Anne said that some truths never fade, it wasn't a warning or accusation. It was a quiet verdict, one that cut through years of polished royal appearances. That was the part Camilla couldn't deny. She had worked tirelessly to transform herself in the eyes of the public. Yet Anne's statement reminded everyone, including her, that some stories can't be rewritten. No matter how much time passes, guilt, like truth, has a way of lingering in the halls of power. And for Camilla, it remains the one thing even her crown can't silence: the public's memory. Across Britain and far beyond its borders, the memory of Diana remains almost sacred. Decades have passed, yet her presence still lingers like a soft echo in the nation's heart. Her image graces murals, her name crowns charities, and her words continue to inspire kindness. In schools, her compassion is taught as an example of grace under pressure. In hospitals and shelters, photos of her visits still hang proudly, reminders of a time when a princess touched the untouchable. Time may have reshaped the royal family, but it could never erase the feeling that Diana's story ended too soon, or that it never truly ended at all. When Anne's reflective words resurfaced, the public didn't react with outrage or controversy. Instead, a wave of emotion spread across generations. Old videos of Diana began circulating again, the ones showing her kneeling to speak to children, walking fearlessly through landmine fields.
In 1997, just months before her death, Princess Diana visited the Angola minefields, calling for an international ban on landmines.
Or laughing freely with people who had nothing to offer her but gratitude. Those images reminded everyone why Diana had become more than a royal figure. She was a symbol of empathy, of humanity within hierarchy. Anne's calm statement reopened that chapter, not with noise, but with quiet power. It reignited the world's affection for the woman who had shown that being royal didn't mean being distant.
Princess Diana will always be remembered as a groundbreaking force for change. The late royal broke down barriers by embracing her soft side.
For younger audiences, who only knew Diana through photographs or stories told by their parents, Anne's voice became a thread connecting past and present. Her reminder that truth is layered allowed them to see beyond the glittering titles and ceremonies. It revealed that even in the most structured of institutions, pain and tenderness coexist. The image of Anne, poised, collected, yet softly acknowledging that grief still breathes beneath royal decorum, struck a chord. It made people see that history isn't just written in books. It lives in the eyes of those who remember. In a monarchy built on reputation and presentation, Anne's quiet truth pierced through the polished exterior. It stripped the royal image down to something real, something human. It reminded everyone that behind the crowns were two women, once bound not by rivalry, but by motherhood, by duty, and by loss. And while Camilla has slowly earned her place beside the king,
Charles had to work on not only convincing the public Camilla was the one,
the public's heart still belongs to Diana. Time may have softened opinions, but it hasn't dimmed affection. Anne's words made that divide clear again, not as a judgment, but as a reality. Legitimacy may come with years, but innocence, once immortalized, never fades. Anne's philosophy on duty and pain. To truly understand Anne's rare openness, one must look deeper into the beliefs that have guided her through a lifetime of public service and personal endurance. For Anne, duty was never about applause or privilege, it was about responsibility. She has often said that real duty begins when comfort ends, and that service to the crown means setting aside personal desires for the greater good. Unlike others who struggled under the weight of royal expectations, Anne carried it with a kind of quiet defiance. She never pretended that the institution was perfect or that the people within it were flawless. "We all have our parts to play," she once said, "but that doesn't make us beyond fault." Those words alone revealed more honesty than years of official statements ever had. In private moments, as recalled by her former aides, Anne's mantra was simple: get on with it. To outsiders, it sounded cold, even mechanical. But to those who truly knew her, that phrase was her armor. Beneath her strict discipline lived a deep empathy, the kind she rarely showed but always felt. She had witnessed suffering behind palace walls, grief masked by duty, and smiles that hid despair. Her empathy wasn't loud or visible. It was steady, consistent, and real. In many ways, Diana and Anne were reflections of two different responses to pain. Diana felt it openly, She let the world see her heartache, and in doing so, changed how people viewed the royal family. Anne, on the other hand, endured hers silently, carrying on without complaint. Both paths were brave, both costly. So, when Anne finally acknowledged the hidden sorrow within her family, it wasn't to cast blame or expose secrets. It was a quiet act of healing. Her words felt like an exhale after years of holding breath, not an accusation, but a release. She doesn't need to name Camilla or anyone else. Her silence, her calm gaze, her refusal to deny or embellish all of it speaks louder than any confession. Through her stillness, Anne reminds the world that pain may fade, but truth always remains, waiting patiently to be heard. The unwritten chapter. Even now, as documentaries dissect the royal family's history and biographers race to uncover new angles, one figure remains steady in the background: Princess Anne. She is the witness who has seen it all unfold, the one who has carried memories others chose to forget. While most royals speak through carefully crafted statements, Anne's power has always come from restraint. She rarely grants interviews, avoids emotional displays, and yet, when she finally chooses to speak, her words echo louder than anyone else's. It's as if every sentence she utters has been measured through years of observation and silent endurance. The world leans in, knowing that when Anne speaks, she does so not for attention, but for truth. Inside Windsor's ancient halls, history has been rewritten more times than anyone can count. Portraits are replaced, narratives adjusted, and memories reshaped to fit the monarchy's image. Yet between those polished, curated accounts lies an unwritten chapter 1 that belongs to Anne. Her reflections, though few, seem to gently open that missing part of the royal story. She doesn't name names or point fingers. Her purpose feels more profound. Perhaps deep down, she believes that honesty, not protection, is the true act of loyalty. That remembering things as they were, without gloss or denial, is the only way to truly honor Diana's memory. In that honesty lies the most powerful truth of all. Diana's light altered the royal institution forever. Her humanity, her warmth, and her defiance against cold formality became the moral mirror the public still holds up to the crown. Every royal, since including Camilla, has lived in that reflection, measuring themselves against the love and legacy Diana left behind. Anne's quiet reminder isn't an attack, but a reckoning. Through her stillness and precision, she has reminded the world that no matter how many chapters the monarchy adds, one remains unwritten, the one where truth, love, and loss finally stand side by side. As the world watches the next generation of royals carry Diana's legacy forward, Princess Anne's recent words continue to echo quiet, steady, unforgettable. She has never been one for spectacle, but perhaps, in her subtle way, she has given the public something more valuable than answers: permission to remember. Her reflections remind us that truth does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers through the voice of someone who lived it, loved quietly, and learned that silence can be both shield and confession. In the end, Anne's truth isn't about blaming anyone. It's about reminding the monarchy and the world that behind the crowns, every loss leaves a shadow, and some shadows never fade. If you found this story as haunting and moving as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice keeps history alive and ensures that the stories of those who shaped it are never forgotten.